Welcome to Monday Morning Coffee with Inside the Firm. Each week, our hosts will be interviewing local, regional, and national business leaders to give you an inside peek into how they lead their business to success in the ever-competitive business climate.
Welcome to Monday Morning Coffee with Inside the Firm. Today, we are graced by a special guest, Tim Downing. Tim is the general manager of Duratherm Window Company, which is part of the Luxury Division of Pella. Tim has been with Duratherm since 1984 after graduating from the University of Maine the same year. Tim, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Lance. I appreciate it.
Yeah, glad to have you. Why don't we, before we get into Duratherm, everything Pella, why don't you peel back the onion a little bit about for us about your entrepreneurship? Where did it come from? Did you grow up in a family of entrepreneurs? Where does the business acumen come from?
Well, it's interesting. My dad owned a print shop in Elizabeth, New Jersey, and so I suspect that that's where the initial entrepreneurship came in. My brothers also have been in businesses of their own, so we sort of are a family of entrepreneurs. Our dad had a strong work ethic. Actually had a grandfather who was a vice president of RCA prior to World War II. So, hard work and appreciation of business ownership and what it can bring to society and for the people involved in it certainly involved. That being said, I never imagined being in a manufacturing setting with as many employees. I was a finance major, so I had this vision of maybe hanging up a shingle and offering financial services after I got some experience under my belt. But started as a stair salesman here at Duratherm. We also make wood spiral stairs, and so that's how I get into the business and sort of a bit of my background as to what maybe was a spark that I didn't know existed until I got in the right setting.
Interesting. Well, I'm glad you mentioned the sales, and then how did you transition? So were you just that good of a salesman that they were like, look, we got to have this guy owning Duratherm?
Oh gosh, that's funny. I wish I were that good, but sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. And what happened, unfortunately, my blessing was at a very tragic situation at Duratherm, in that the controller that they'd hired about the same time that I came in as a stair salesman had a massive heart attack and died at the age of 41. And so Duratherm found themselves without a controller. And they asked our the GM at the time, asked the public accountant, what his thoughts were, and that they had a young person that had a finance background, but he didn't have much business experience. What did they think? So they sort of interviewed me and got a sense of what my background and knowledge was, and they came back and they said, no, they said, we think that Tim Downing might be able to fit your needs. So they gave me the opportunity, and what that gave me the opportunity to do was, from the finance side of the business, to sort of get a handle and an understanding, a holistic understanding of the Duratherm business, because I was interacting with purchasing, production, sales, estimating, as well as finance and HR. So it was given my background and study, it was a perfect opportunity for me to understand and get a greater understanding of the entire business.
It sounds like it. Yeah, it sounds like you really, right place, right time sort of thing. Were you nervous for that position that you interviewed for, and what kind of position was it? Like, what was the title?
The title was controller, which was basically responsible for the finances of Duratherm. And I was probably more naive that I should have been nervous, but I was just young and green enough to think that I had what it took, and then I got a little more nervous because Duratherm's history, as a upstart business, had always struggled financially. So I began to get more nervous as I studied the monthly financials and saw the challenges associated with such a business in custom manufacturing.
Yeah, I bet. What a cool story. I mean, I know there's some tragedy involved and everything, but wow, I love the fact that you were so green and then you jumped into it. It reminds me of a lot of entrepreneurs who just kind of go for it. To go back in time just a little bit, do you have any, when you were a salesman, I'm always interested in picking salesmen's brains because everybody has their unique tips or tricks. Do you have any of those that you would share with us? Maybe some fundamentals for any saleswomen out there?
Well, I think the most important thing, at least from my perspective, was that I was involved in selling a product that was really, it was a high quality product. And I believed in it wholeheartedly. I had a strong belief in the people behind the craftsmanship that it took to manufacture it, and so that really is the thing. There are some people that they say can sell anything. I'm certainly not one of those people, but I do think that I can sell anything that I'm passionate about. And that certainly fit the bill with the product offerings that I offered as a young salesperson, and then it just was reemphasized and reinforced with the quality products that Duratherm makes with custom windows and doors.
Yeah, got to stand behind your product. When you took over as controller, how many employees did Duratherm have at that point?
Oh, at that point in time, we were about 65, 70 employees at the time. We had shortly thereafter, I guess when I got into ownership, was right around 1990, where there was I won't say depression, but there was a recession and a contraction of the market in the Northeast, where we were heavily involved with at the time. So at the time that I started in ownership, we had been reduced to about 35 employees, and then we were able to persevere and then brought the numbers back up. So we have had as many as 94, 95 employees at Duratherm at the heyday, and now we're in a modest position with our relationship with Pella, where we've got about 65 employees.
Yeah, it's probably a good balance. It sounds like. I mean, you mentioned like 30 to 90, and now you're sort of in this medium area. What was Duratherm? So you kind of started touching some of these topics about what it was like when you first bought into it when you were in ownership. But what were some of the key things that you did to maybe improve that machine? Was there a lot of Scrum kind of effects and strategies you were taking, or other things that maybe I'm missing?
Well, I would say that the Duratherm history has always been to meet the needs of the architectural community with its wood windows and doors, and primarily in a contemporary setting and style of architecture. But within that, there were just some things that existed that there was never really anyone that, for lack of a better term, take the bull by the horns and make some of the tough decisions in creating an organization that not only would serve the architectural needs, but could be successful as a business as well. So that was one of the things that I think I was able to do with my finance background, was to assess and evaluate and utilize the gifts and talents of the skilled people that we had, but organize them in a way that made their gifts and talents to the greatest value to the business, and then ultimately that meant us being able to provide a greater service to the customer.
Yeah, and a better product, I'm sure, for sure.
And a better product as well. Yes.
Yeah, let's talk about that product a little bit. Tell us about how it's built, the team behind the craft, especially when it comes to all wood windows and doors. I know one of the hot things right now is all fiberglass, but I have Pella in my house. I have the architectural series, but I would love to hear more about the Duratherm product. And I took a look at the website before the meeting, and they're absolutely stunning windows. I mean, and I'm a contemporary architect, so I'm telling you, they're just beautiful.
Well, great. Well, again, we started with working with one of the wonderful architects in contemporary architecture and American history, Lewis Kahn. When we worked with him on the Exeter Library in Exeter, New Hampshire, and it's a wonderful, wonderful project. We actually weren't even working. Initially, we were just doing interior millwork at the time, but the founder, Phil Cole, and Mr. Kahn struck up a relationship, and as the theory goes, we ended up, or Phil and Mr. Kahn ended up in a bar, and Kahn was talking about the need for a wood contemporary product for his institutional and commercial buildings. And Phil said, "Oh, I think I can do that." And he also wanted low maintenance. So the materials of mahogany and teak came out, but the Duratherm folklore is that Phil started sketching on a cocktail napkin some details, and Kahn would counter with some of the refines. And they came back from that meeting, and the drafting team at Duratherm at the time then developed this initial line of contemporary wood windows based on a mahogany interior, teak exterior, which allowed for a beautiful warmth, but also low maintenance because teak has natural oils that will go to the surface, and so they'll patina this beautiful gray when they're exposed to the sun, and so that was the advent. But Phil was also a boat builder, and a yachtsman, so he brought a lot of that knowledge and understanding of these hardwoods into the shop, and had just a wonderful. I mean, Central Maine at that time just had a wonderful. Everyone worked with wood, built their own houses, built their cabinets. Most of the furniture that were in their houses, they usually built. So we really started out with a great team of craftsmen that just loved to work with wood and their hands, and so that allowed Phil to build this reputation of being able to not only Phil was great at listening, and we've carried on that tradition of listening to what the architect desires are, but then being able to take our knowledge of construction and glazing to make sure that we can do it in the way that they want to, but also that provides performance against the elements, air, water infiltration, etc.
Yeah, what you guys really stepped up to the plate. Kahn is a architectural giant in my opinion. I mean, he's just amazing. And I'm looking at some photos as you're speaking about with the Exeter Academy Library. So it's, if everybody's listening, and I'll put a link in, but it's EXETER, and the kiosks where people can sit and read. They're back to back, and then they are adjacent to the windows, and the fact that the wood matched. I mean, you guys talk about really stepping up to the plate for somebody like Lewis Kahn. That's incredible. I got to imagine. Then I looked up the Salk Institute. Are those also your guys' windows there? Because it says they're teak.
They are not. We have worked with the facilities maintenance of Salk over the years as consultant, we've actually not done work that we've been paid for.
Okay.
But as they've needed upkeep, they have seen our website and they're familiar with our reputation working with Teak, so we have consulted with them over the years. But yeah, very similar sort of style with the panel concept of the Salk Institute. But
Yeah.
someone else must have done those.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I just thought I'd ask because I have these visions in my head imprinted forever about his work. If you're an architecture student, it just gets pounded into your head in a good way. Talk about the technology that you've seen evolve. So from the early 80s all the way up until now, what has the technology done for you guys in terms of designing, fabrication, and then how are you guys utilizing that stuff today?
Well, the design, I guess I'll start with the design because when I came in '84, our drafting team was still drafting tables, pencil and paper, and they were very good at what they did. Our shop drawing, we take a lot of pride in our shop drawings. We think it's the first product that the architect actually sees from us, and it's a wonderful way of communicating with an architect, collaborating with them. It's sort of, they've got their own language in terms of working through shop drawing, in the shop drawing process. With AutoCAD and utilizing that, and so we now utilize both AutoCAD, also 3D configurations has allowed us to communicate with the shop as well, to give them more information. So there, on the tooling side and equipment side, there are a lot of companies that have gone to CNC machining to do it. We have sort of shied away from that because of the type of work that we do and the customization that we do. You sort of become a slave to the machine, and there's a loss of the hands of the craftsman actually touching the wood. It becomes more of a mechanical aspect where, it's a push and play, and then the guy sort of watches the machine do the work. We have shied away from that because we do feel that there's an important step in having that knowledge, and what makes Duratherm great is our longevity of our employees. Our average years of service out in the shop is about 17 years. In the office, our average years of service is over 22 now. So having the people that do something for the first time and then are able to retain that knowledge and share it for the next, and sort of build upon it. It really is a wonderful example of continuous improvement in a sort of old-fashioned setting that allows you to work with this trade of wood, but actually utilize the gifts and talents and to collaborate. There's so much collaboration that goes on at Duratherm. So we have a machine called the Drill X, which allows us to do a lot of machining that's required, and macros are developed to do that. But the great machine that we have here is a Wizard, which has a series of stacked heads, which allows for you to run all the joinery and profiles of for example, a tilt-turn window without having to do multiple setups. So that has really been the piece of equipment that was custom designed for us and our particular applications and types of windows that we manufacture, that has allowed us to be more efficient in the way we produce the units without giving up the quality and the involvement of the joiner, because we never want to lose that important aspect of craftsmanship.
Yeah, I really like that. And really was intrigued and liked the fact that you mentioned how long you have people working there. I mean, that says a lot for the integrity of the company. It says a lot for how they treat people. And if people are treated well, then they create great products. What do you think has led to that kind of longevity at a company like you guys are building and have maintained there?
Well, I think, we'd like to think that it's a lot of the things that you talked about. But we really, in Central Maine, we have the unique opportunity to provide career opportunities for folks that have a passion for wood and architecture. I mean, I had to be led to the architectural passion water from others that were involved, because I had a finance background. I really didn't have a lot of insight into architecture. I didn't know who Lewis Kahn was at the time, but I learned very quickly, and being involved to the level that we are, and all of us, I think, share this. We have a great appreciation for the art and science of architecture, and these folks are visionaries, and they're extremely talented, and we're blessed with the opportunity to work with some of the best in the world, not just in the last 10 years, but over the last century of architecture. If you look at the list of architects that we've been involved with, and that's just really cool. And then for people to be able, as a production worker, to see the wood come in, dimensional lumber, have it go through the process. It comes out with, and when it's all said and done, glazed and ready to go on the truck, it's this beautiful, beautiful windows with the warmth of the wood, nice, thin, clean lines. And then to top it all off, for us 6 months later to be able to share a finished product picture with the crew, and for them to go through our website and see and share with their family. I made that. And these are the types of projects that they're going into. We always say, we live vicariously through the projects that we work with, and where they are and what they are, because none of us probably can afford our own product, but we are able to fully appreciate what it is that we bring. And I had a customer one time talk to me about how it was important that he used the term pristine, and that was what his expectation was of a Duratherm product, and what he and his wife were searching for when they got that, and when they actually saw it and got to use it every day, because they aren't just beautiful. Duratherm was also designed to be very functional as well, and long term.
Beautiful. Yeah, I think you hit. I mean, I had no expectations for your answer, other than I thought it was going to be something as pristine as you laid it out there for us. Yeah. So bravo to you guys for maintaining that kind of culture and longevity. And then sounds like when you do bring new people in, man, they're just funneled in, and it teaches. They're taught by the masters that have been there for a while. Let's kind of transition into, obviously you sold Duratherm to Pella and their luxury division. And so therefore, like you said, you're a huge advocate for what your division can do for architects and the close relationship you have with them. Tell us a little bit about that sale and what it was like for you, and was it an easy transition? And then what you guys do for architects and designers, maybe compared to, you don't have to name other brands, but how do you guys go maybe above and beyond and kind of add that extra touch?
Well, I guess I would start off by saying that I was not looking to sell the company. My retirement plan was to not retire. I love what I do, and love the people that I do it with. And so it was interesting that I got a call, and they said it was from Pella. And so I figured I have to take the call. And then, it sort of went into, have you ever thought of selling the business? And I had to say, no, not really. But and they said, well, would you? So we began a dialogue, and quickly found out that as small as we were and as large as Pella was, our values were very, very similar. The folks at Pella were just wonderful. We believe in the servant leadership management and model, and that's how we try to model our business. Identifying, being able to discern legitimate needs in comparison to wants. But once you identify a legitimate need, then you are all in with the resources to try and meet that need. And that was very, very similar to the values that I saw with everyone that I interacted with at Pella. So very quickly, it seemed like a good fit. And then they shared their vision of what they were looking to accomplish with the establishment of the luxury division. And I was just blown away at their commitment to just what I talked to you about earlier, meeting architects' needs, and that they wanted to reach out to smaller companies that already were accomplishing this and were successful in doing it. And so they brought together the companies via acquisition, but it allowed what I saw was the ability for Duratherm to be what we always thought it could be, but we're limited by my limited capital areas. I mean, as I said, I started right out of school. I wasn't a person of means. Every time we made a growth, getting back to the entrepreneurship, every time we had to make a decision of are we going to go to the next level, that meant that I was going to have to borrow more money to accomplish that. And so it limited, we sort of had to make small leaps, and always thought that the product that we were offering and the skill set that our people were able to bring could always have done more if we had more capital to do so. So Pella comes in with this vision of being part of something bigger, and they did a very good job in communicating the role that Duratherm would play in that. So I was all in at that point, saying, no, this is a good thing for not only our customer base, but also our employee base as well. Not to mention the community as a whole. Pella has a great charitable arm of their organization that we're able to be a part of, and they've been involved in community needs since the sale 5 years ago.
Fantastic. Yeah, I love Pella. I mean, like I said, I have Pella in my house. The next house I build, which maybe will be my last house that I do a custom build, it'll be Pella again. One of the brands. I have zero complaints. Their customer service is fantastic. I'm so glad they included you and have picked that up with their luxury division. Let's pivot away from that a little bit now and back to you a little bit. You're an avid reader, a lifelong learner. What are a few of the books you'd recommend to budding entrepreneurs? Oh gosh,
I mentioned Servant Leadership and Servant Leadership Institute. I had a HR person share with me one time that he'd been to this. Oh goodness, and I'm losing the name of the person that established it. But in any case, he was explaining servant leadership and what he'd learned at this seminar, and I didn't even know it was a way of doing business, but the way he explained it, it resonated with me in the way that sometimes Charlie Brown and Lucy will interact in the Peanuts episode, where Lucy will go and all of a sudden Charlie Brown will go, "That's it." And when John was explaining it to me, I said, I've been applying this, just intuitively for 20 years now, but I haven't been able to articulate. I didn't even know what it existed. So to answer your question, I don't know. The Servant is a good one. I also have a book that I always keep near me closely, is Jesus CEO, Using Ancient Wisdom for Visionary Leadership. The ultimate servant leadership in history, whether you're religious or not, or secular. Jesus is a historical figure that certainly his stories demonstrate the ultimate servant leadership qualities. Then the other one that's really good is our iceberg is melting. It does a wonderful utilization of penguins and their challenge in survival to tell a wonderful story of people read it and they identify their role within an organization, and sometimes it can be quite convicting. The other thing that we do, it's not a business book, but the China study is a health book. And one of the big things that we try to implement here, and we have, is a wellness program for our employees. And they work with a wellness coach. But the China study is a great way for people to, because well employees are productive employees, and in an industry that has, when I was 30 years old, the average age of a Duratherm employee was about 30 years old. I'm now almost 60. And the average age is over 50. So Maine in particular has an aging population, but what we've found with a wellness program that we've had at Duratherm for the last 10, 12 years now is that things like high blood pressure, cholesterol, type 2 diabetes that people thought were inevitable as you age. We actually have demonstrated that with proper attention, diet, and fitness, that you can reverse those things, and you can actually improve even though you have an aging population. And so that's, as I said, it's not a business thing, but it's important that people understand, and I think it's important that companies demonstrate that they have a care for the wellness of their employees, that we genuinely care and think of them as people, not numbers or replaceable items. And that's the other thing that Pella does so well. The Farver family is just a case study in caring not just for their employees, but also for an entire community.
Yeah, 100%. One last question I'd like to ask everybody, Tim, is knowing what you know now, and if you could go back in time when you first started at Duratherm, even before you were, the controller, what is one piece of advice you'd give yourself?
Well, I'm going to spin that a little bit and tell you that I got some advice from, I'm the youngest of 6, as I've told you, other entrepreneurs. And one of my brothers, who is a physical therapist, when I told him that I got this job at Duratherm, because I wanted to get a job that was in the area. I live in Central Maine. I love where I live. I've never moved in my entire life. So I drew a radius around things. That's how I connected with Duratherm, and I was willing to take anything. But so I explaining to my brother that I have this job and I'm selling spiral stairs, and he goes, yeah, he says, that's a nice starter job. You get some experience and you move on. And I said, I don't know. There's something about this place that I resonate with. And I said, I think I might be here for a while. And, 37, almost 37 years later, I'm here. So I guess the advice that I would give or myself is to make sure that you are doing something that you enjoy doing, that you're passionate about, and not listen to advice that tells you to go to a career because it offers the greatest opportunity now. I remember my daughter, as she went through school, people advising her to go into nursing. Well, she really had a passion for early childhood education. And thank God she ended up going in that direction, and she's very successful in that. But initially, the hot topic was nursing, and that's where you'll make more money. And it's not about the money. A book that any entrepreneur ought to read, Moneyball, with Billy Beane, because he says, I'll never do anything for money again after the tough decision that he made of signing and not going to Stanford. And I resonate with that and wholeheartedly agree that don't do something for money, do something that you're passionate about, and the security will come, but you will definitely benefit. In your life will be very, very richly rewarded by following your passions.
Oh, beautiful. That was wonderful, Tim. It has been an absolute pleasure to have you on the show today. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for sharing the story of your company and all of the knowledge and everything that you've built up, and the recommendations too. If anybody is interested, I sent you a LinkedIn request to be my LinkedIn acquaintance on there, Tim. But if anybody wants to check out their windows, go to PellaLuxury.com/the-firm. Again, that's PellaLuxury.com/the-firm, and that'll take you right to the Luxury Division of Pella. And then through that, you can find the Duratherm window company and check out everything that they have going on. So thanks again, Tim. I really appreciate your time today.
Well, thank you, Lance. It's been a pleasure. You do your job well and made mine easy. So I appreciate that.
Okay. God bless.
God bless. Take care. Bye-bye.